say those answers out loud. Say those answers out loud. Say those answers out loud. I'm begging you to. Okie dokie. Today we're discussing a topic that is all over the place. And I've heard it too many times before, and I want to talk about it on today, okay? I have my notes with me. I will be looking at them because I don't want to forget anything, because I want to be, I want to help y'all out, okay? So, first things first. Why are you so afraid of job interviews? Okay? Because I know you are. But the question is why? Why are you afraid of job interviews? We're going to dig down into the why of it, and then I'm going to give you some solutions on how to combat this. But the first thing is you need to figure out why you're so afraid of job interviews. Okay? First things first. You need to find out, does it have to do with your confidence from within? Because that is a reason why people are uncomfortable around others. That's a reason to be afraid, period. Is asking yourself, does it have anything to do with your lack of confidence? Does it have anything to do with your confidence in a new surrounding, around a certain group of people, around older, younger, whatever, around differences? What is the issue here when it comes down to your lack of confidence and why you're not confident? That's one of the number one things I see as far as why people are afraid of job interviews, okay? Because that's within. And that's the first thing that I'm starting to see is the problem. The question is, why are you afraid of job interviews? And the question is it confidence related? Does it have anything to do with you being a minority? Does it stem from when you were a teenager? Does it stem from when you were a child? Does it stem from your young adulthood? Did something happen to you during college that made you lack confidence? Is there something embarrassing that happened to you? What is it that made your confidence shaky? Okay, that's what we need to figure out first. So that's something to ponder. Another reason why you're afraid of job interviews. Do you actually study for them? How are you preparing for the job interview? Are you Googling questions and just reading them? Are you taking a deep dive into that job description line by line? Yes, line by line. I know it feels like a lot. I know it sounds like a lot, y'all, but you're talking about the difference between making $30,000 a year and $60,000 a year, or you're talking about the difference between making $60,000 and $100,000. You're talking about improving the quality of your life. You're talking about improving your career. You're talking about feeding your family. You're talking about being comfortable. You're talking about a salary increase that you have. Not only just the salary increase, the career improvement that you are working on. This is why it's so crucial to ask yourself, why are you afraid of this job interview? Why am I nervous? Why am I scared? Am I doing these things? Okay, this is why I said, are you looking at the job description line by line, understanding what it is they want? That is very necessary. You have to do that. And don't think of it as, oh, that's too much. No, you're talking about your life here, your livelihood, your husband, your wife, your children, your needs. How do you study for your job interview? Are you winging it? Do you study at all? Okay? Do you study? What do? Do you study in the car right before the interview takes place? Or do you study like the day of? Do you just read the job description? Do you just think about your current job? Do you study your resume? Do you look at your resume and go back over the things that you've experienced? Do you sit down and do this? Another question, do you have a coach? Or do you have some other individual, a person, a friend, a sister, a brother? Do you have a colleague, somebody who can prep you and ask you questions? Okay? Do you record yourself talking? These are things that I'm saying, do you do it? But these are things that should be done. Are you a nervous person, period? Have you always been this way? Are you seeking help for, the nervousness that you have? Now, that's a whole other topic when it comes down to seeking help medically, mentally, whatever it may be. But you do have to get a hold of these things so that you can be successful or more successful in life if you know that it's a deterrent and it's in your way. These are reasons why why you could potentially be afraid of job interviews. It all relates to public speaking. No one really likes it. I mean, Not really. Some people might, but majority of people always have a fear of public speaking, okay? If you've been to college, you should know they make you take a public speaking course for the most part because they know it's nothing that comes natural to people. Another reason why you could be afraid of a job interview is this a new career altogether? Are you used to working customer service jobs and now you got your education, so now I'm about to go apply for a marketing job. I've never had a marketing job. I've never worked outside of customer service. Or I've only worked in retail. I'm applying for something that's totally out of my league, or not out of my league, because nothing out of your league, okay, amen? But something that you're not familiar with, something you haven't had exposure to yet, but you have equipped yourself to go ahead over and do this, okay? But that's a good reason to be afraid and nervous, you know? You're changing from one career to the next, okay? I was afraid and nervous when I went from working at the assembly line to interviewing for an HR assistant job because I hadn't worked in HR for 6 years. I hadn't sat behind a computer for 6 years and did everyday work on it because my job was at an assembly line. So quite naturally, I was nervous on that job interview. But how are we going to kick these nerves, y'all? How are we going to build our confidence? How are we going to put fear aside when dealing with job interviews? Because as long as we're living on this earth, I don't know if they're going to change the process, but there's going to be some type of interview process. There's going to be some type of process that's going to gauge whether or not you're the right person for this project, for this job. It's out there. It's not going anywhere. This is how our society is built. So how are we going to solve this? One solution, if you know this is within, internal, if you know a lot of these issues, this nervousness, this lack of confidence, things you're dealing with, I would urge you, first thing I would do, start reading self-help books. And I know people talk about that a lot, but my thing is, guys, it really does work. It really does work to feed that goodness into you. Start reading self-help books, okay? Listen to podcasts that are self-help related, you know, how to build more confidence and things like that. And if you're a spiritual person, by all means, go to the Lord, okay? He'll make you from the least confident person to the most confident person. I can attest to that. So self-help books. Go to the Lord in prayer. Find a podcast. Find some kind of podcast that's going to put this positivity in you. Talk it out with a friend. You know, if you have a friend or a family member or someone close to you, even if it's a mentor, someone close to you, and let them who you can be vulnerable and honest with, because that is how, that's another way to really getting ahead of things and being honest. You know, they always say the first step is admitting you have a problem. Well, you want to admit to it to yourself, but you might need another person that you trust where you can admit that to too. To have some type of mentor. Now, as far as the public speaking problem, what I did was I joined this group called Toastmasters. There are probably other similar groups, but yes, this is a Toastmasters plug because Toastmasters, I wasn't even in it for a long time. Maybe I think I did Toastmasters for a year, maybe 2 years, but Toastmasters is a public speaking club where it allows you to gain confidence speaking around strangers, but you start to get to know those people, but it's a safe space where you can get those jitters out. They teach you how to pivot. They teach you how to avoid saying and all the time. It's a wonderful program, and it's for public speaking. Check that out. Now, as it relates specifically to actionable solution-based steps that you can take as far as your job interview period, because everything else we just talked about is gonna take some work here. And my thing is, y'all, don't be afraid of work. Don't be afraid of working on yourself, because my thing is, I don't plan on dying. I do not plan on leaving this earth. So because of that, I might want to take some steps to build myself up. But as far as actionable job interview prep steps, first thing you need to do, study that job description that you are interviewing for, line by line, bullet by bullet. Because that is what they're going to be asking you questions based upon those duties that are in that job description. 2, think of questions that they're going to be asking you as it relates to those bullets that you just looked at in the job description. Now, this is something that you might not be able to do. This is where I come in. Plug. Go to my website, book a free discovery call. We can talk all about it, okay? But that's what you need to do. You need to take that job description line by line, Think of job interview questions that are related to those duties that they outline. And if you can't think of it, by all means, my goodness, Google it. Okay? It'll be there for you. Now, here's the crucial part that people don't like to do. Once you write down answers, once you devise your own personal answers to these questions, say those answers out loud. Say those answers out loud. Say those answers out loud. I'm begging you to. Because I'm telling y'all, you don't want the first time you recite the answer out loud to be at the actual interview. You want to have already trained your mouth, trained your tongue to say those answers. You want to have already done that. That is crucial. That is it's not even a secret, but baby, that's my thing. That is my thing. It's the same way as muscle memory. I don't know what it's called for the mouth, but it's like a mouth memory. I'm telling you, okay? Don't let that be the first time in a job interview that you say those answers out loud. You study your answers by walking around your house. You take your voice recorder or you take your video and you record yourself saying those answers. Okay? Something that you can do on the job interview, even while you're studying, while you're preparing in the privacy of your own home. Take breaths. Don't rush talk. Pause. Take a breath. Say your answer. Again, they taught me this in Toastmasters. Pause. Take a breath. Say your answer. Don't rush. Take your time to gather your thoughts. Take a breath. This all takes practice. This takes practice, and you guys have to get out of your own head. You have to get out of your own head because that probably is your biggest enemy. More than the people sitting around you. More than the panel interview. More than the one-on-one interview. More than a virtual. More than an in-person. You're your biggest challenge. So once you get out of your own head and get confident, other people are going to see that confidence. And your confidence is going to trickle on to them. It might persuade their decision, okay? Hopefully this has been helpful. Give me a like if you thought so.